today I am coming to you from my game hobby craft room, and today I'm going to do it yourself. I've actually been asked to do this a couple times, and I just thought, well, I'll go ahead and do it and post it here and see how it goes. I saw this trick a few years ago and I did it a couple times successfully, and I've had a couple successes and fails. So what we're going to do is we're going to take basic eyeshadow and turn it into nail polish. Okay, so it's really cool and it's really fun and it doesn't take a whole lot of time. You basically need a couple things. You need a pair of scissors, paper plate, or something you don't mind getting dirty and throwing out later, because this is going to be your base. You're going to put a lot of your products here and your items, and they tend to make a mess. So you're going to want something down here. You need a fork or a knife, and I always use a plastic one when I'm doing a craft project so I can just throw it all away later. It's easier to get plastic ones because it's just, you can just throw them away and you don't have to try to wash them. The next thing you need is an eyeshadow. It really doesn't matter what kind of eyeshadow. I've done this with everything from real generic to real expensive eyeshadow, so it's kind of fun. Today I'm going to use this blue eyeshadow. This one's called After Midnight, and it's the CoverGirl Queen collection. It's just a real pretty blue, and I thought, well, we'll try something different. The next thing you're going to need is a bottle of clear nail color. And I just went out and I bought a cheap 99-cent Wet n Wild clear polish. Real simple. Just basic polish, because it just makes your life a little easier. So it's just a real basic polish, and it's clear. You don't want a strengthener or a hardener, so make sure you just get like a basic clear coat polish. So it's pretty simple. You're also going to need some napkins, because if you're like me, you make a mess. And a piece of paper. This is actually a recycled piece of paper. It was a mailing label that I didn't need anymore, so I cut a piece of it off to do this. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do once you've got all your supplies assembled is you're going to take your paper plate and place it flat on the surface. You want your nail polish bottle, and keep the lid on, don't take it off, just leave it alone for a while and set it aside. Take your eyeshadow. Like I said, we're using the CoverGirl Queen After Midnight. Real simple. It's a really pretty blue color, and I really like it. And you just take the brush out because you don't really need that. Stick it over there. And you're going to use your fork. And with your fork, what I recommend doing is taking one of your napkins and laying it over your plate. So like so. And take your fork, and what you're going to do is, since I'm using a napkin, I kind of have it face this way so that the flat side is here, so that when I pick this up in a minute, it doesn't go in the folds of the napkin here. So it's pretty simple. And you're going to take your fork and you're going to scrape your your eyeshadow. So all I'm doing is just scraping it. So see, let's see if I can move this closer and show you. And I'm just scraping it, not really in any sort of way. And I don't know if you can see it, but the dust is falling out. That dust is what you need to make your nail polish. So once you get a good amount of dust, like here, take your fork and like stir it up a little bit, smash it down, because you want this to be really fine powder is what you want. Because if it's not a really fine powder, you're going to have problems in your mixing. So you want a really fine powder. So it's kind of very, very simple, very, very fine, like a coarse powder almost. The reason I say to get a knife is because sometimes you can't stab the eyeshadow with a fork, so you have to use the knife to actually take the whole thing out, or if you're doing a big batch, you can actually use your knife to cut the eyeshadow out. So, you may not need it, and that's okay. If you don't use it, you're not doing anything wrong. Alright, the next thing you're going to do is once you have your powder here, take your napkin, okay? So take your napkin like this and fold it in half. And you're going to want to just shake it a little bit, maybe give it a couple flicks, because what you want to do is get all of that powder in the center. So see how it's in the center, like a little funnel there? So it makes your life a little easier. Set that aside and take your nail polish, and you're going to want to make sure the lid's on pretty decently and pull it towards the top, hold it however you want to hold it, and you want to shake this really, really, really hard. So shake this vigorously. You're going to see a couple air bubbles probably at the top, most likely forming, and that's okay, just shake it up. If you can't get a bubble to form at the top, you may need to take your nail polish, which is why you have your plate here, and pour a little bit of it out, because you need to be able to get some air in there. So I poured a little bit of it out on the plate here to give me a little more room. And you can actually hear it. It makes like a water shaking noise. So once you've got it good and shook up, you should see like a bubble when you turn it. Like I said, here's your bubble. And shake it up really, really good. And you're going to open it up and take your brush and just lay it aside, because you're going to use it later. So we're just going to lay it aside, and I'm just going to put it on my other napkin here because I just need a place to put it. Put your polish bottle on your plate. Very simple, just real flat, see, like so. Okay? It's really, really easy. Again, I've got my lid just sitting on the napkin here, and I'm going to put that over here on the side because I just need it to be out of my way. So, oh my word, sorry, my cat is trying to pull posters off the wall, and she's making my life hard. Popcorn! No! Get the toy instead. She pulls thumbtacks out of the wall, and it annoys me. Okay, so you've got your dust over here on your napkin, and what you're going to want to do is set that aside. Okay, take your piece of paper, and you're going to want to either cut or fold the ends so that it's not so big. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half here, and then I'm going to turn it and cut it in an angle. Okay, so you should have like a triangle shape here. Okay, so with your triangle shape, what you're gonna do is put the ends together like so, but do not pinch it. See, you want that little bit of an opening there. Now with your finger, take your ends and roll it in. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your finger and you're gonna roll this. And this is a little easier to do when you put it on the table flat. What you want to do is create a small cylinder. Okay, so you roll this up like this. And the tighter you can roll it, the better off you'll be. Because you really need this gap to be as small as possible. Okay? I usually suggest getting a piece of tape. Hey, get down. Get a piece of tape, and all I have here is masking tape. So if you can remember, get a piece of tape and have it ready, because you're going to want to tape this thing on the paper. Tape this paper, because if you don't, it's just going to keep annoying you. Okay, so here's my cylinder. I'm going to take my piece of tape and wrap it around my cylinder. Do not, however, wrap it around the end of your cylinder. Okay, so your tape should be wrapped around your cylinder but free from the cone. So what I mean is, when you wrap that piece of tape around, you may have to cut a little triangle off like I'm doing now, because if you cover this part here, you're just going to have problems. So make sure you don't cover that part with the tape. And since I used a big piece of tape, of course I covered it. So now that you've got your little funnel, you're going to take your funnel up here on your nail polish bottle. And if you use the piece of masking tape, you can actually create a thicker funnel that's easier to bend and move. And you put it in your polish bottle like this. Take your napkin with your powder dust. Preferably don't knock your nail polish down, because that's going to ruin half your life. And take your napkin here. Everything should be in the middle. Give it a couple flicks. And what you want to do is you want to pour this into this paper tube that you just created. So you see how it's going in the paper tube? And some of it's getting on the plate, and that's okay. But for the most part, it's going in the bottle. So you can see here that the paper tube has put the powder in the bottle. Take the tube out and go ahead and get your brush back. Put your brush in your polish, okay? And seal it closed. It's gonna look a little funny and foggy and gross, but that's okay. What you're gonna want to do next is just shake it to death. So shake, 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 shake. A lot of this has to do with shaking. So if you don't like shaking things, this probably isn't going to work real well for you. So you're just going to shake it up. Real simple. Shake, 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 shake. Shake it really, really well. You should still see your bubble. When you turn your bottle, you should still see your bubble. So that's good. What you're going to see now, though, is that my polish is no longer clear. So that's actually really exciting and really great. Because that's what we wanted. We wanted to create a new polish. Now, the amount of dust you put in your polish will decide on how dark or how matte your color is. So if you want it really, really dark, like I did, you're going to want to put a lot of powder. If you want to just give it a little bit of a tint, just put a little bit of powder, because the more powder you put, the darker or more colorful your polish is going to be. And then again, just shake it up really, really, really well. And then we're going to take the lid off. And if you buy a cheap polish, sometimes that happens. Sorry. Let me try it again. If you buy a cheap polish, sometimes the brush gets stuck in the lid. So you take your polish out, your brush out, and you can kind of see your pretty color. And I'm going to go to another piece of paper here. Remember I cut that piece earlier? And you can actually drag your brush across your paper. And it gives you a bit of a preview as to what it's going to look like a little bit. So here it looks a little bit gray. So if you don't like that, you're going to want to put in more color. If you want it lighter, your best bet is to start with a little powder and then grow and add up. So I apologize. I actually have polish on my nails. So unfortunately this might seem a little strange, but I'm just going to paint over this. So you can see here this nail is actually pink now, but I'm just going to paint over it. And what you're going to do is just paint your nails like normal. So very simple, very pretty. Very lightly paint your nails like normal. Depending on the clear polish that you buy, the cheaper your polish is, the longer it's gonna take to dry or set on your nail, and the more powder or liquid you put in, the longer it may take to do your nail also. So it's pretty simple, really, really easy, and it's really, really fun. You can create some new colors. Like I said, I put it over, and this is my end result.